Rods, you don't want to break a rod station or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you're, on all the rods really, the rigger rods even, is just, again, clicker is going to be on, free spool, put it in the rod holder, now deal with the fish on the floor. Now the rod's up there, it's out of the way, and it's not going to have any tension, right? It's free spool, but with the clicker so it doesn't overspool when, if you all of a sudden tug on the line. It doesn't give you a big bird's nest. Another part to that as well. So big boats and small boats, and we talked a little bit about the leader lengths that we have behind our divers. Sometimes are very long. So this is where it becomes a bit of a teamwork of the fellow that's on the rod, of course, but also you have one person that will be doing a hand bomb job, right? Trying to keep the tension straight, the fish is going to pull again, okay, all right, let go again, and the diver's going out, and then he's going to do that again, right? And it's all communicated in the boat as well, right? So the fellow that's on the rod, on a small boat, we can go right up to the front of the bow, right? Rod straight up like this, and you got the hand bomber to do his thing, and then the netter is ready to go again. So the net minder is really handy for that, but one thing about netting fish, I often see it, people get excited. They got a big fish. Oh, it's in the back of the boat. Oh my goodness. So they'll stab at a fish when it's not ready. Be really, really, patient. Make sure that fish is ready to be netted. The head's coming up at you. It's starting to rise. They're not coming, you see a fish that's green and it's going to dart and you're going to miss the fish. Wait for it to come up on its side, head towards you, and then go for the head. Don't go for the tail. You scoop at the tail, you're going to lose that fish. It's going to spook them off every time. Yep.
My kids like to hit me in the head at the end of the
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun though. You get a fish in the net. Another thing too as well, a lot of folks will lift a net up like this and bring it on board. Don't do that. It's not good for the net. Bring the net in like this and then lift it up on the hoop like this, because a big fish like that will bend your net, and it's a lot of pressure on the fish as well. You get them in the boat a lot easier. They also won't be able to flop out. So sometimes if you net a fish and lift them up like this and they're still caught up on the netting, they're going to flip flop and you have no leverage. You can't hold a fish like that doing that. They'll flop out of the net. So just try to get it as vertical as quickly as possible when they're in the bottom and bring them in the boat like that. It'll save you your net, but also save a few fish too. Yeah. At that point, yep, question, yeah.
What do you recommend for reviving the fish?
You got one here. So excellent. What we tend to do is tow these fish along. So after we've unhooked them, we'll tow them behind the boat and let them revive on their own, without having to hold. I mean, you can imagine the water being as cold as it is in the early May. Your hand's going to get cold just holding the fish. So we have these Boga grips.
The beauty of this, it's all stainless steel. They're the most expensive on the market. There's other makes that'll do the same thing, but this is, it's going to pivot. But this has been in the water thousands of times. Basically, you just hook that up to the fish, and then we hook that around a rod holder, and then just let it out. And he goes back in the water immediately, and then you just kind of watch him. You'll know he'll go straight up, and he looks like he's swimming with the boat, and then he's good to go. You just reach over, release that, and he's gone. More so in the warmer water. When you're right through to mid-May, when your water's still only 55 on the surface, or even in the summer when you're fishing the North Shore, sometimes you get those big blows. Your surface is going to be 50 degrees over there. Those fish, just throw them back. They're going to be fine. You don't have to tow them around. Where it comes in really handy is in the fall when we're fishing 72-degree water. Those kings need to be revived.
Yep.
How long do you have your idle?
This is what I use, but again, you can just have it to whatever length you want. You just want the fish to be in the water, so the fish can swim behind the boat, beside the boat. You don't want it to get it into your rigger cable though. You just gotta be mindful of that. You don't want them tangling up in that, but yeah.
Yeah, you'll watch the fish to know when to release it. You know, the fish will often, when you first put them in, they'll be on their side like this, right? And then you'll start to see them start to go a little bit more, and then you'll start to see them try to wander a bit.
Yeah.
So typically that's when it's time, okay? And then when you do, you pull them in, you unhook the boga grip, and then you give them a good torpedo into the water to give them that rush of water through their gills, and it gets them going downward and keeps them swimming downward. That's the thing. You don't want to go too high. I find if you go like this and go like this, the fish will just do this. Just do it nice and short, like that. It works better.
Just in case I lose it. Or,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
that's
so
it.
that-
I don't, yeah.
Yeah. Here first.
Go ahead.
Okay.
They do have a pressure release too that you set down on your.
Oh, to use it on a downrigger. I've seen those too. I've not
I've
used
never
it.
tried that, but,
Yeah.
That's the one we have. Son lost it and he had to dive in after.
I guess so. Yep.
Is there a time frame that you can use that you have it on that mechanism and it's not reviving, that you realize, hey,
Yeah. Especially in, when you're fishing that warm water, it
what
happens.
would be that time frame?
You'll
Or you'll
notice
know.
the fish is just not.
Well,
It's not corresponding, not upright.
Yeah, that's right.
After like 5-10 minutes and it's not upright still, it's likely
So
spent.
5 to 10 then?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
You'll notice in their eye. So I always, take a look at their eye. You'll know a fish is not doing well because its eye will look almost dilated and it's not quite the same. When they're thinking about, coming to life and doing their thing, you'll see their eye is just like kind of looking around, and it's certainly a different liveliness you'll see. Yeah.
Maybe just, I don't know what you had planned to wrap, but I just thought what expectations for this spring. I'll just give my quick thoughts on that, and maybe Shane can as well. So, no ice on Erie again this year. It's been the same thing for the past 2 years. Typically, what I found is, pre-COVID, when we had high water, areas in Grimsby, Charles Daly, and Jordan all seemed to set up really well. Since then, we've had low water. And the last few years, it's really been the Niagara Bar. It's one of the best places to fish because that Niagara River water's coming down. The canal sets up a little bit, but I don't know if your spring last year, but Port Dalhousie wasn't very good and there wasn't much fish until later on, further to the west. So expectations are that the Niagara Bar will be really good again, as it has been the last few years. So that's my thoughts on it.
I totally agree. I really do think, and the funny thing about what I've seen over the past, I would say 3 years, is that the Niagara, the plume in the trough itself has been a longer period of time where those fish have stayed inside the